Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine, and we're here with another exclusive interview. Proteas captain Dean Elgar, very excited about this new edition of the magazine, all about Test cricket, and who better to speak to than the Test captain? So, welcome to the show, Dean. Good to chat to you. It's your first time actually on a show of ours, actually for the Daily Show. So, welcome to the show. How are you doing? It's good to see you guys bounce back from a difficult time in New Zealand and coming back in the second Test and playing the way you have. But how are you doing? How are you feeling, especially with Test cricket developing in South Africa so quickly? New guys coming into the system. How are you feeling as the Test captain of South Africa?
Firstly, morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it is my first time. So pretty excited about that. Just to get back to your question, I mean, a lot has happened over the last few years. It's not foreign for us knowing that we've lost quite a lot of players, a lot of experience along the way, and we've almost had to blood a lot of young guys in quite a quick, short span of time, which is not ideal for development of the game, especially when you have to replace 5, 6 experienced players, which we had. And those guys obviously had to come in and make a play, which is never the easiest thing for a young guy to come and do. But I must say, touch wood, sitting here today, it's actually gone quite well for us. I can always be hypercritical and say it could be going a lot better, but I think the situations and circumstances that we faced as a country and as a nation hasn't been easy for us. And I'd like to think that we've actually done bloody well, considering everything has been against us and everything has been pointing us in the wrong direction. But the players have stood up and made massive plays for us in the last few series, which has been awesome to witness.
So I want to start my questioning by asking you about that transition, because when it comes to the younger guys coming into the team, the newer guys coming into the team, what is that step up like? And from your viewpoint, we've seen how batters have adapted. They might have started off slowly or not gotten an instant start. We can talk about like the likes of Kyle, Sadal Ierwe as well coming to the party. I mean, even your Test career when it started as well. So that switch from domestic cricket into international cricket, how do you prepare these youngsters when they come into the team? Is it just by go out there and learn, or do you guys have a lot of conversations with him?
No, we definitely have conversations. I think the barrier and the gap between our domestic system and international cricket is two totally different ventures. I don't even think you can put the same two in the same paragraph, let alone the same sentence. The intensity that Test cricket brings and international cricket brings is so great. You can always tell someone about what they can kind of expect, but once you've experienced it firsthand, then that's a massive eye opener. I think that's been the biggest thing, is that players take quite a long time to react to that intensity, almost like you need to upskill yourself while you're playing. And it's difficult if you haven't done that consistently at domestic level, because you haven't had a long period of time playing. And that's what's happened with our side. We it's a tough thing, but what you must do, I've been witness of the intensity of it now for nearly on 10 years. Our coaches obviously experienced that in a greater longer period of time as well. So I think we obviously have to make players a lot more aware of that. I think that's why you find younger guys coming in now do start a little bit slower, just purely because of the intensity and the expectations. They're struggling to match up with what you're looking for. And it's got nothing to do with the playing ability, because there's a reason why they are there, and it's because they're good players. I think once you kind of learn around the intensity, and you can also learn how to kind of control that as well from a playing perspective, that can work out for you definitely in a positive if you're very mindful of that. I think that's been the biggest challenge, is obviously our newer guys coming in, for them to firstly realize their ability at that level, and for them to obviously learn the pace of that of the play that Test cricket demands. You don't get a greater and higher intensity than playing Test cricket against India, for instance. And I must say a lot of the guys have been thrown under the bus a little bit because of our guys that have retired. But needless to say, they need to fulfill their roles. And that's the reality of it. It's a little bit of a harsh reality, but it is a reality.
Yeah. So you're well aware that us fans, this is obviously a fan channel, we have our own opinions on what the reasons are behind the transition. We never played at the highest level, so it is all just speculation. So we have to talk to an expert about this. So it's obviously different for batters and for bowlers when it comes to intensity. What I've seen and witnessed over the time, it's probably, if you have your rhythms and you are bowling with a certain rhythm and getting your accuracy on a consistent basis, it seems to be a lot easier for maybe a bowler to transition than maybe a batter. Can you? It might be difficult to put your finger on it exactly, but is it, from my perspective as a fan, if I had to assess it, I would say, and this is just my opinion, not necessarily Cricket Fanatics magazine's opinion, but it seems to be maybe because of, at international level, you get like 3-4 world-class bowlers putting the ball on exactly the problem areas on the pitch consistently over and over again, whereas in domestic you might not get that same intensity. Is that what makes it harder, or is it the pressure from the fact that you're playing for your country and also every single person on that pitch is world class?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think if you reflect to what you used to at domestic level, it's not taking away again the talent of players, but I'm just saying international cricket, you don't get a lot of loose balls. I mean, I don't think I've been bowled a cut shot in 4 years now, and it's only purely because bowlers that you're facing are the best that their country can offer. So they all come into the party with different sets of skills, and you need to be mindful of that as well. I think as a batter, if you look at it realistically, you only got one ball to survive, and you can go watch the rest of the innings on the side of the field, and that's the reality. I think from a bowling perspective, you have 20, 21, 22 overs maybe in a day to get it right, But saying that, if you're not bringing your own intensity, and if you're not consistent with accuracy, batters will put you away now these days. Batters are extremely skilled and equipped. That's why they're playing at this level, because they're extremely capable of putting you under pressure when the time is right. I can't sit here and say the one skill is easier than the other one. I've never bowled 20 overs in a day, seam up, let alone. I have a spin, but not from a seam bowler's perspective. But watching it, I know if you're not on the mark from the first over per se, you can put yourself under a lot of pressure. But that brings the intensity factor. You need to have that intensity playing Test cricket, whether it's batting, bowling, and fielding. You need to be up. You need to be buzzing for 6 hours in the day. Look, it's not easy to be doing that for 6 hours consistently, but I mean that's what the game demands. The game demands for you to push yourself as long as and as hard as you can, and more times than none, if you push yourself more than your opposition, you're going to beat them, or you're giving yourself the best opportunity to beat them. I can't say the one discipline is easier than the other one, because I've only really done the batting part, but I have seen the bowling part. It's also pretty tough, but I'm going to be biased and say the batting part is extremely difficult, only because we have one ball to face and then you're out. So, it's tough. And the bowlers we're facing now are extremely skilled. I'm not comparing it to different eras of the game, but my current era that we play in now, our bowlers are extremely, extremely talented.
At the beginning of your captaincy, you said that you wanted to bring back that old school approach to batting, where South African teams, posted big runs in the first innings, scored a lot of hundreds. How do you go about achieving that, given that the period between 2018 and 22 has witnessed perhaps the lowest bowling averages and perhaps the best ever strike rates?
I think the nature of the wickets we've played on have been a little bit more bowler friendly, especially in South Africa. We know that the wickets are more times than none bowler friendly conditions. But yeah, it's a tough one. Again, that is definitely the way I feel South Africans play their best cricket. If we play in that hard, upfront, in your face, intensity, passionate cricket, that's when we at our best. Look, you can always speculate and speak about we want to score hundreds, we want to take fifers. I know that's a lot easier said than done sometimes, especially when we as a side. I'm just purely talking about South Africa now. We as a side, we've got pretty inexperienced batting lineup at the moment. So that expectation on the guys is quite great. And but I'm also very mindful that it's not always going to happen as quickly as what we want it to happen. That is always going to be in me saying that we want to play an old school way of cricket. It doesn't mean we need to play it immediately. We needed to build on that. We needed to find our identity with regards to one day getting that right, and so far we've been doing it pretty well. I think our squads that we've been working with at the moment, we've got a lot of good characters and personnel, which kind of ties in with that old school mentality that I'm looking for. So far things have been going in the right direction with regards to that. But I'm also, again, very mindful that it's not always going to work out, and I'm okay with that. It's okay, but it's about making the players aware of this is what we want to do and this is how we want to go forward. And I think it's extremely important for like a guy like myself and guys like Temba and KG to stand up and almost like walk that talk, which I must say the guys have responded to bloody well. So yeah, I mean it's still a work in progress, and bearing in mind this is like maybe a 3-4 year journey that we're all on. So I kind of understand that it's not always going to happen like immediately. It's just not realistic with the inexperienced players that we have. It's got nothing to do with their talent. It's just purely out of the inexperience and the confidence level that you need to instill in the guys.
As a batter and a captain, how much of your approach is instinctive versus data-driven?
I'd like to think I'm not a massive data-driven person. I think you need to simplify the game as best as you can, not just for yourself but for your team. Look, I do think there is room for data within our game, but if you're not a data numbers, watch videos, analysis person, it's difficult to force someone to do that. That potentially is taking them out of their natural way of playing the game. So I'm a little bit more pro-based on doing your skill, worrying about what you can control on the field, worrying about what you can do when it comes to preparation before a game, than going and watching 3 hours of footage, and it's energy sapping that as well. But I do think there is space for that, no doubt. There's space for it from my capacity being a captain. I need to obviously have a look at opposition players to see their strengths and weaknesses, no doubt. But also, I don't think you must forget about your strengths and weaknesses, which is what you need to try and control. And that's what obviously you have to execute when you hit the park. So yeah, it's a tough one. I know a lot of guys are into the data stuff, but I think they're a lot more comfortable within their game. I think if you're a younger guy, it's difficult to complicate. You got to get a fine line, a good balance between what's working for you, what's good for the team, and is it actually the right thing going forward. But yeah, there is definitely space for it, no doubt.
Now, we know cricket is a mental game. It's driven by mentality and being strong mentally. So I want to ask you, because when I look at the team and in the past and over the years, you stand out as one of the most mentally tough players in that team over the years. The way you've so many innings that you've put on in the middle, where you've driven the team forward and really grinded it out. It takes a lot of mental toughness to be able to do so. But how did you work on your mental game? And if you had to give someone like examples or some evidence on how they can improve theirs, what sort of advice would you give them? And based on your experiences and how you've improved your mental game over the years?
I think the mental side of the game can be broken up into many different facets of the game. So Mental can be you going out and batting for yourself, or you going out batting for your team. Which one works for you? It's about also the pride in your performance. I think if you're extremely proud of where you're playing and being proud of your performance, you're going to always try and push that extra little bit further. But I recall, I can't think that I've ever worked on it. I think it came from upbringing. I used to train with adults when I was younger, so I think that was definitely an aspect that worked in my favor. Maybe then I didn't understand the long-term effect it would have on my thinking and my game in the future where it is now. So I think I was put in a lot of scenarios where kids these days are maybe not put in those scenarios. So when I was 13, 14, 15, I was playing senior club cricket with 30-year-olds and 25-year-olds and a 40-year-old, and it was hard and ruthless. And you're this 14-year-old and you smacking adults around the park. I mean, they come hard at you, and I think that is also an aspect that makes you a little bit more harder, a bit more stubborn. But I do think it is a role to play when it comes to the mental side of things. I think it's even development when I speak of playing backyard cricket with your siblings, for instance. I recall that I didn't want my brother and my neighbor to get me out, and they were a lot older than me, 6.5 years and 7 years, 8 years older. So that was also a role that also played a role with regards to development. And then you don't know, because you're far too young to actually realize and understand the long-term effect that it will have on your mental game. But that was definitely a developing factor that played a big role into my psyche now. But yeah, mental toughness is maybe not for everyone. I think that word is thrown around a lot, and I don't think a lot of people understand what the definition around it, because I think each person has got it in his own respect. It differentiates, and I'd say mine obviously developed from when I was a kid, from the age of 8 to 10 years old, and without me even being aware of what was happening, it was a transition that was impacting my mental capacity to where it is now. I don't think I'm the most mental tough cricketer out there. I just think I'm extremely driven and extremely proud of what I want to do. I do know I'm a very limited cricketer, no doubt. I don't have the talent of De Villiers or Hash Amla, but I do have one set of skills, and that's to be as stubborn and as proud as possible. And I think that leads into me being able to walk the talk and lead from the front, and all those cliches that come along with the game. I think that definitely plays a part when it comes to that.
A couple of years ago, Faf du Plessis had said that a lot of his marathon knocks were a product of physical fitness, and I was wondering how much of a role that plays in the way that you play your cricket as well.
No doubt. I think cricket is a high demand when it comes to physical fitness. I've always been someone that works pretty hard, but I've always done a pretty good base in my younger years, that I never try to slip below the bar when it comes to that, because that was my standard that I've set for myself, which I don't think a lot of guys do currently. But that's just personal opinion, right? But definitely, personal fitness and physical fitness plays a massive part. If you want to go out and bat for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, you need to be pretty physically fit, and also you need to be pretty switched on upstairs as well. So yeah, it plays a massive part. But now that I'm getting a little bit older, it's about managing that fitness and not doing the unnecessary things now. And you find when I'm playing in season, I limit my fitness because I do have a few niggles. I do have a bad knee. I've got a bad shoulder. So it's all about managing that and doing the right things at the right time. For me, I see it pointless that I go run a 20-kilometer run now. That's just going to break my other knee, and it's not gonna do me any favors. It's going to make me more negative than actually the positive out of it. So But there's definitely an element of it, and I think when you're younger, you need to put a lot of emphasis on that, especially if you want to play cricket throughout the year, which I've done in the past. I've done the South African season, international seasons, and then I go play county cricket, and that's properly demanding on your body. But then you cricket fit, and then you don't have to worry too much about your physical fitness, because you're always going to be physically you're going to be in pretty good nick because you're playing throughout the year. But yeah, physical fitness is a massive role to play if you want to be one of the best in the world.
Now, when it comes to captaining, and obviously Aditya mentioned Faf du Plessis, one of obviously my favorite captains in South African cricket. Just by the way, he balanced it out quite nicely, I feel, with regards to the way he dealt with media, the way he dealt with players, and he just had a nice balance to him. When it comes to the captains that you've played under, what sort of lessons have you taken from them? And more recently, Faf du Plessis, and added to your philosophy? And what is your current philosophy as a captain?
I think I've learned a lot out of the captains that I've had along the way. I've had Graham and AB, Hash, Faf. So I've had quite a lot of the big dogs around me. But I've learned a hell of a lot more from Faf because I think I was a lot more hands-on. He gave me a lot more responsibility within the side from a leadership point of view, being one of the older, more senior players around. So I think he almost allowed me to groom into a position of leadership, which just happened naturally because I think my personality will always lead me to gravitate towards that kind of position. I've learned a lot from those guys, and I've taken small little things out of it. The things that I've liked and the things that I haven't liked. So there's obviously stuff I won't be using, but I think you'll be stupid not to want to use those guys as tools and resources to make yourself better, firstly, and then obviously to make the change room better. My philosophy around captaincy is a bit more in your face kind of approach, but not in a fight kill you kind of approach, but more of assertive. Because I'm a small guy in nature, it doesn't mean I'm a pushover, and the guys must know that I'm not a pushover, because I'm not gonna take that line down. But I think as I'm growing into this role, the philosophy is changing a little bit, and it's something that I don't think will always be a consistent thing. We're in South Africa. We deal with a lot of external factors in our game. So that's another thing that I need to be mindful of, and that's making me grow as a person, not just as a captain, to deal with the external stuff that we have within South Africa. And you've got to be very respectful and mindful of that as well. I'd like to think philosophy is still a work in progress. I'd like to think I don't want to be a one-dimensional kind of captain. I want to evolve with the players that are around me, which can only benefit me in the long run. But also being extremely true to myself. I think my nature, my character is one that most players will gravitate towards, because I don't like losing. I hate losing. I don't mind losing, but I hate losing. Losing it's how you lose. If you lose like you lose in the first test in New Zealand, that doesn't work well with me. But if you lose playing your best cricket and the best kind of brand of cricket, I don't mind that. I don't mind reflecting on that because I know there's a lot of learning and growth out of that. So I'd like to think my leadership style and my captaincy and philosophy is still extremely under construction, and it's a work in progress, which I'm still very committed and patient to make better.
Over the last couple of years, there's perhaps been, I don't want to use the word decline, but perhaps the frequency of players that are able to bowl in the 145 to 155 sort of range. I think that there's been a dearth of those kinds of bowlers. And I was wondering if that's a product of the volume of cricket being played these days, or, what is it? World cricket in general hasn't been able to sort of nurture that sort of bowling talent as much as it used to.
I think workload is a massive thing that has played a massive role and impact on that. If guys want to play international cricket, IPL, Big Bash, I mean, sooner or later, your body's gonna start telling you, listen, yeah, I can't perform at the level you want me to perform, but here's my capacity currently, and if you want to overstep that, then that's when you break down. So I think the demand on players to be that 140, 145 plus is extremely demanding still. But with the volume of cricket around currently, I don't think it's very realistic for the guys to operate at that level. Not if you want to. You can't operate at that level for so long without breaking down. We've even seen that with. I was in the change room when Dale Steyn broke down in Australia, and he operated, but he was a freak of nature when it comes to just naturally being able to just do things without even like working hard, But obviously he did work hard, but like you'd never see it. Like you'd never see him go for a 5K, 10K run because it's just it didn't like fit with him, But obviously he was very able to do that. But he operated at an extremely high level, and his body was taking massive shots, and obviously sooner or later your body's gonna tell you, okay, enough's enough now. But he's one of the guys that I've been witness to actually see that he can do it for such a long period of time. But also I think he started playing like less white ball cricket to obviously try and focus more on his red ball game, where I don't see the current player doing that now. I see them focusing more on the white ball and maybe sacking the red ball game, which is a massive concern of mine. And I don't think we're going to have bowlers that operate at that level anymore. You might have the odd exception guy, but then you find he's not playing as much cricket as the next guy who's playing every format and IPL and the guy's not getting a break. So I think it's extremely difficult to have those guys now with a volume of cricket.
Okay, so finally from me, I just want to ask you about the next generation. If you could give a message to the next generation of talent coming through, it's particularly the guys that are playing like 4-day cricket for the first time. The school. I've had a lot of conversations with school kids, school coaches, etc., about the lack of long format cricket that they're playing. It would help if that 3-day competition was still around back in the day when kids came out of school and they played some 3-day cricket.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that. Club cricket has reduced its days of playing. There's no more club cricket, 2-day cricket anymore as well. So I hope it comes back again. But if you could give some tips to those, the next generation of youngsters coming through that might be a Protea in the next 10 years or so, 10 years time, 5 years time, etc. What sort of message could you give them and tips could you give them to clean up their 4-day game a little bit?
The one word that jumps to mind is patience. I think a lot of young cricketers expect too much when they leave school. And when they leave school, they're just part of the big world out there, and they don't deserve anything coming their way because they haven't really achieved anything out of school. But patience is something that jumps to mind. If I reflect on what I went through as a school cricketer to after school and development into professional cricket, I was extremely patient to wait for my turn. But also along that journey, I made sure that no one forgot about me because I scored a lot of runs in my younger years. So you got to be patient and you got to put out the performances. That's the biggest thing. And we know in cricket, your only currency that you have is runs and wickets. And I think when you're young, you got to really break down the door. You got to smash it down with a massive hammer. And that's just about being patient. Do your bits, take your wickets, score your runs as much as you can, and just wait for your turn because it will happen. It will happen. But I think guys are extremely impatient now because of the modern technology. This thing makes you very impatient. Gives everyone opinion and an entitlement, which is scary. But just be patient out there. Play the game for the right reasons, and still be passionate and hungry enough to maybe wait for that another year and make sure that you are properly prepared once you hit the international circuit. Because I was 24 when I hit the international circuit, and I thought my crap didn't stink, and then you play international cricket and you're like, oh, okay, wow, I'm so out of my depth. Yeah, but back home I was averaging 50. So once you hit the international scene, make sure you're ready. So don't jump into it too quickly, because it's a very, very deep pool once you're in it. And I think that ties in with just being able to knuckle down, score the runs, take the wickets, but still be patient along the line. And I think patience is one of the daily disciplines that you need in cricket. You need to be patient with everything, and disciplined, and just the professional side of things. You need to be very mindful of all those things going forward. But yeah, I'd say patience is the one thing.
One more from you, Aditya.
In a hypothetical scenario, assuming that you're playing a lot of white ball cricket as well, what is the one shot that you wish you had?
I've got all the shots. I don't know. I just don't have the time to show them off. I don't know. I'd like to think definitely the way the cricketing world has developed. I've witnessed AB de Villiers in a T20 side before, so I've been fortunate enough to see what he does. I don't know if he's mad or if he's just super, super, super talented, and he can see the ball a lot slower than what I do. But I always like to think his reverse lap over short third man is something that I wouldn't mind developing, but I don't think I'm going to, because I don't get selected in those other teams. So I don't think I'm going to do it. But yet again, nothing beats a good straight drive. Just saying.
Okay, Dean, finally, a message to the Cricket Fanatics fans. As you mentioned, we all have this thing, and we have our opinions, and this is a platform for fans to actually express themselves. So it gets quite heated with myself, and sometimes they argue with me too. So if you could give a message to the Cricket Fanatics fans, how we can step up our game of supporters of the Proteas, etc. Is there any message you would like to send to them?
I think what's happened of late is the Proteas have become a very, very easy target for these people that sit on the couch to pass judgments and comments, and they don't know what we've been going through behind closed doors, from a playing point of view, from a group point of view. And I can tell you one thing: we, as a group, we've been working our bloody asses off to get us in a position of power again, because we want to bring pride back into our badge, which was taken away by not even the players. It was taken away by administrators that kind of stuffed up our game a little bit. And I won't say a little bit, I'll say a lot. And I think it's so easy for the fans to get negative around the brand, and it's so easy to belittle and give the players shit because of what's going on this side of the stuff. And it will affect what's happening on the field. We don't want it to affect us, what's happening on the field, but I think over time we have realized that, this is maybe playing a part, and it has been playing a part for quite some time. And we are now totally not using that as an excuse. We are now like starting afresh as a group, and we're working hard to get back where we think we rightly belong in world cricket. Bearing in mind, people have their opinions. They've got their entitlement. They can throw it around. That's why I don't have social media, because I think I would be banned off every platform if some guy had to tell me how crap I am. But each to their own. And I guess the world has changed in a very unique way, which you always have to scratch your head a little bit and like, why is this person saying this? But in the end, if you want to support us with love and care. A person that's throwing stones and throwing comments around when he's sitting on the couch, he's not really a fanatic, is he? He's more a cricket watcher. He's not a supporter. He's not a fan. So I always like to say, maybe just keep quiet.
If you have nothing good to say, don't say nothing.
Exactly.
Thanks So, Dean, thanks a lot for coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed your conversation with us. I hope we get an opportunity to chat to you again in the future. I really enjoy your press conferences, so that gave me an indication that it would be awesome to actually have a conversation with you. So thanks a lot for coming on the show. To all the fans out there, you guys know what you have to do. Please smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. But also get involved with Cricket Fanatics magazine. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. So the link is on the screen as well as in the description. We currently have the women's edition, but this particular edition is going to be out when this video is obviously published. So you guys need to get this issue as well and download it straight away. Like I said, every issue is 100% free straight to your inbox every single month. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Thank you, Dean, for coming on the show. Thank you, Aditya.
Thanks,
and we'll
guys.
see you guys very, very soon. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks, boys. Thank you.